WDDH Radio, Orion, aka Brass Balls, coming for another Sunday sermon of what I'm bringing. Nothing but dope music coming out South Florida, and this one's gonna be a special episode. This is episode 45. So I said to myself, I want to do an episode dedicated to the 45-inch vinyls. You know what I'm saying? And specifically, as always, that music coming out of SoFlo, which is no easy feat, but I was able to find an amazing artist still doing his thing right now, majorly. You know what I'm saying? The music he's putting out there is on a whole other level. And I got none other than Mr. Jason Joshua with me.
Yo, what's up? How are you guys? Well, how are you?
Yo, bro, it's dope. It's dope to have you on this one, man, because this is a podcast I do mostly dedicated to the hip hop down here. But I feel like even though this episode might not have a lot of hip hop in it, if any, I'll leave that as a surprise to the guests. The music that I was able to find and able to dig for that's come out of here, you know what I'm saying, outside of the hip hop genre is amazing as well. And you're definitely somebody that's doing his thing right now. And that particular song that I just played right there, what could you tell the people about that one?
Well, that was Rose Gold. I recorded that in Miami. I pressed that record in Miami. Um, it it was it's crazy, man, because I did all that stuff at home by myself. I sold 500 records from. I had a one bedroom apartment. Well, I wouldn't say it a bedroom apartment. I'd say it's like a studio.
Mm-hmm.
And had a had a hot plate for a kitchen and a mini fridge, and I had 500 records sitting around my house, and I sold 500 records in 4 days. And
Nice.
thanks to Instagram, and that's what kind of got things popping off here with soul music. You know what I'm saying? But that's the first single I've ever done, and I'm super excited. I mean, it was my first solo thing. I was in a band for 10 years called Ketchy Shuby, and
Yes.
I love that band. We made great music. Didn't sell any records, but you know, we definitely learning lessons, and we're still friends. And those dudes are part of what I do now. Except we're doing it on a bigger stage. You know what I mean?
And I remember when you were rocking with Ketchy Shuby and doing those shows around that same time. I was doing shows with Elastic Bond and stuff, and lots of festivals that were going down. But you know what I love about the record that record in particular that you're talking about, that what made you choose Mango Hill Records? Is that because you grew up in Mango Hill?
Yeah. I mean, that's my neighborhood, dude. That's where I grew up. That's where I
That's
was
what's up,
raised.
man.
And it was crazy because, I mean, it's crazy because some people say some things about Mango Hill that's not accurate. People were like, Mango Hill was regarded back in the day as one of the most violent and crazy parts of town in Hialeah and in Miami. And then there's cats out there trying to, defund that idea, which is not true, man. I used to live in Mango Hill, and it was violent. It was crazy, and they would set houses on fire, and it was crazy. Mango Hill was
Yeah,
crazy. It was a crazy neighborhood,
yeah. No,
and
I got two cousins. I got two cousins that grew up on Mango Hill, in Mango Hill, and then I got my homie Roger. He's out there in Mango Hill, born and raised out there. And I used to always play ball at Goodlip Park, so I could testify to like crazy that I've seen go down in Mango Hill. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, man, Mango
Um,
Hill is definitely is a crazy town. But like being a cat that was into music and wasn't really into sports, because the thing is like when you grow up as your mom's a single parent, sports kind of go out of the window. You know what I'm saying? You don't,
yeah,
like it's hard unless your mom is not working and she's supporting your sports. You're not really a sports cat. So music to me was the only salvation, and being in Mango Hill was super cool because all the gang members knew, and all the thugs and all the homies, they all knew good music. So and they'd be like, "Oh, how'd you know about this? How'd you know about this?" I'm like, "Oh man, my pops left this record," and they'd be like, "Yo, this kid is cool as." And then I go to school and get jumped or whatever. But then after that, I go home and hang out with. I'd ride an Impala or a Cadillac, and listen to Al Green and even before he got
Something that can
Yeah,
canceled,
make
like
you
the
go
R.
like
wrong,
the
R. Kelly.
OG
make you
shit.
do
Yeah, we would listen to
Oh,
the OG shit, and even R. Kelly, who's canceled now, was a big mainstay in Hialeah. So everybody used to love R. Kelly back in the day. So you know,
yeah, but I feel you on that. Like my parents didn't have a lot of bread, so like the only youth sports that I was a part of really was like either the shit that went down at school or the that went down at the parks. Because the Parks and Recreation League in Hialeah, you don't gotta pay to be in that. Shit. I think you just show your light bill to prove that you're a resident, and it's free. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I grew up,
yeah.
I grew up around playing like baseball, flag football, basketball, just like year round in the park system because that was like free daycare. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
no, yeah, it was free daycare and like it was crazy. Like I would play the football and soccer because those were my sports. You know, and of course I'd be last pick. I was last pick, but it was cool though, because I would be able to like practice and have fun and stuff like that. And my mom would pick me up at 6 p.m. When when the park was about to close, and like it was like you said, it was daycare. But then like I stopped playing those games because my mom never went to those games, and like
you're right.
we would get our ass whooped all the time. Good. I'll tell you this, man. Gillette Park is an amazing park that changed my life, but we weren't good at sports, and that's okay. And we do other things. We did other things that were good, but it would suck. It would suck to do these games, and then everybody, we get hurt, and then like you hear the moms like, "I'm taking you guys to Domino's," and and it's like they would all ride
Yeah,
with their mom. They would.
I didn't have that, bro. There was no like, even when we won, bro. Like my parents were never at games, bro. Even when we would win. But look, I can't believe we even went into this whole parks talk. This is the last thing I
Yeah.
thought we were gonna get into. But
So real
let's
shit,
get
man.
into this next track because you mentioned Al Green. You mentioned like a lot of OG soul music, and that's what this episode is gonna be wrapped up in. And I'm wondering your thoughts on this next band that I'm gonna play. Uh, but yeah, this is definitely a dope one.